Okay, as I've already said more than once, 2020 was quite the ride. I'm sure all of you would agree. But what were the stories that you, our viewers, liked the most? Here at ILTV, we compiled a list of the top ILTV stories of the last 12 months. Are you ready for a trip down memory lane? Because here we go, the most watched ILTV stories of 2020. Let's start by rewinding all the way to March 2020. It was the beginning of the world's race to developing a vaccine for the coronavirus, and Israel seemed to have a head start.
Vaccine for adults and children could turn the disease into a very mild cold. The state-funded Migal Galilee Research Institute has been working for the last 4 years towards developing a vaccine that could be customized for various viruses, and it's now being adapted to focus on corona. Israel's science ministry made headlines last month when they said a vaccine could be just 3 months away, but the health ministry doesn't want to spread false hope. The vaccine will consist of a specially produced protein that needs to go through clinical testing for at least 30 days and then human trials for another 30.
As the whole world emptied the streets and sunk into a global lockdown, there were some that could roam free more than ever before. Check out this report from April by ILTV's Nittany Manson.
With weeks of empty streets, Israel's wildlife has found new refuge in territories that have long been developed and taken for human use. But city officials and residents in the port city of Haifa find themselves in a more unique predicament because it's not just wild birds, ibex, deer, and cats that are heading to the area.
קורונה בכלל, אנחנו רואים שהם מרשים לעצמם, בכל שעות היום הם מגיעים, ועכשיו עוד יותר, כי אנשים לא מסתובבים ברחובות, הם מגיעים והם הופכים לנו את הפחים. אני לא מדברת על הניקיון של כל מה שקורה פה, אבל זה חוסר מוגנות, אנחנו מרגישים ממש לא מוגנים, מפחדים לצאת, אפילו לשפוך את הפח, אני לא יודעת מאיזה כיוון החזירים יצאו.
There are so many different kinds of people all around Israel. Its diversity makes it beautiful, but it's also at the heart of one of the world's most pressing and violent conflicts. ILTV went to explore how Israel's border police watch over the old city of Jerusalem.
Today we're being taken to a lookout, sitting atop a police station, which gives them a bird's eye view of the entire 125 square mile spread of the ancient city and its surrounds.
So this is quite the vantage point. Talk me through the significance of this area.
So this is definitely a viewpoint over pretty much all of Jerusalem that you can see.
From this position, communication is vital to share information about suspicious activity around the holy sites with the boots on the ground.
Just a few days ago, our very own Aaron Porras reporting on alleged Israeli airstrikes in Syria. While no official confirmation from Israel, this is not the first time the Israel Air Force carried out strikes without admitting they were responsible.
In other news, to Israel's north, Syrian news agencies reporting at least 1 killed and 3 others injured in an allegedly Israeli missile strike against military installations outside of Damascus. Syrian military sources adding that air defenses intercepted some of the missiles, but not enough to prevent the damages. Targets reportedly including sites belonging to forces from Iran and Iranian proxy terror group Hezbollah. And this just days before the anniversary of the assassination of IRGC commander Qasem Soleimani, and days after Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah repeated threats against Israel for the killing of Hezbollah and Iranian operatives in Syria earlier this year.
And last but not least, this next story is not only your favorite story, but it's our favorite as well. After all, who doesn't love a good story about aliens?
Retired Israeli general and respected professor Chaim Eshed is now unveiling that yes, there are aliens among us, yes, Israel has made contact with them, and no, humanity is not ready for them. Also, before you start doubting his words, the 87-year-old Eshed was clear in his recent interview with Yediot Ahronot News that he's not talking about immigration, but rather about a galactic federation complete with an underground base on Mars, where there are American and alien representatives apparently present. He also explains that President Trump both knows about them and was on the verge of disclosing their existence, only to be persuaded not to by the Federation.